before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakakodash, double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone, peace, blessings, and salutations, all like Akim wa Akwath, learning and teaching in truth and sincerity. It's going to be another video through the Spirit. Your brother Malak from GMS Detroit, and I came across this clip. Now, it's actually about 30 minutes, but if I try to let this whole thing play, you know, we'll be here for 2 hours. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the first 5 minutes play through, or really like the first 7. I'm going to pick about 15 minutes out of this, all right? I just want to show you how, basically, y'all, our current condition, the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and no, that's just not a cheap moniker that we use. Those three groups of people are purposely disenfranchised and treated like shit globally, and everybody knows it, and that's even going to get mentioned in this video. All right, but I'm highlighting this video to show you how our people, how we end up in the ghettos and the worst places to live in this country, while E gets to slide and escape and to hop and dance his way into the suburbs and the big nice houses and the good mortgages and the good schools, while we suffer in squalor. All right, so let's let it play.
But perhaps the best example of how European ethnics would finally gain the full benefits of whiteness came with an innovation in housing at the end of World War II. It was a time when hundreds of thousands of GIs came home ready to start families, but had no place to live.
Living space was at a premium. When in the Bronx, they tried building Quonset huts, and they turned to slums. All the Quonset huts had just disintegrated. There were two families sharing a hut. One family at one end, one family at the other, and before you know it, they were awful.
FHA came to the rescue by ensuring long-term, low-monthly payment mortgage loans.
Veterans needed homes for families. They turned to a revolutionary New Deal housing program. It would racialize housing, wealth, and opportunity for decades in ways few could have imagined.
In the 1930s, the federal government created the Federal Housing Administration, whose job it was to provide loans, or the backing for loans, to average Americans so they could purchase a home.
Due to the stimulation of the National Housing Act, from every section of the country come reports of vastly
In order to purchase a house in America prior to 1930s, you had to pay 50% of the sales price up front. The new terms of purchasing a home was that you put 10% or 20% down, and the bank financed 80% of it, not over 5 years, but over 30 years at relatively low rates. This opened up the opportunities for Americans to own homes like ever before. The average person could own that home.
If these terms sound familiar, they should, because this is essentially the same financing scheme that allows most Americans to own their homes today.
Okay, so now you see how, you know, the house programs began, which is the mortgages that we still use to this day. You see how it came about. And keep in mind, they're saying the term Americans, but when they say Americans, they're not talking about us. These were given to the so-called white man, the Edomites. These were the benefits and the programs that has been given to him that allows him to be in a position over us. All right, let me see. Matter of fact, you see right up under here, redlining, which this video is going to get into. Hey, the elder Malcolm out of Chicago, always, you know, he gets into redlining a lot, showing you how it, you know, keeps us impoverished. But the fact that this man, the Edomites, would be living in the most commodious and the best places to live, that's biblical prophecy. All right, that's a part of his, matter of fact, Genesis 27, that's a part of his blessing. Genesis 27, and we'll start at 39. It says, "And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above." So the so-called white man was blessed to be given the best places to live. All right, and we see it today. So let's come back, just backing things up with scripture.
Programs and banks sank millions into the home construction industry. Their message to veterans: you can afford a new home. Buy a new home now. On the outskirts of Baltimore, Memphis, Chicago, Los Angeles, Denver, and other cities.
All right, so now you see, these were the golden years. 40s going into the 50s. He's having his country built up. I believe they even say it in this documentary. The 1950s was the best years of America, which our apostles make mention of. So now, basically you have these Edomites that are talking about what life was like back then. Rent being $65 a month. Nigga, I couldn't imagine. Nigga, I'll buy I have 20 houses for some rent, $65 a month. Shit. Which, that's adjusted for prices, right? But I couldn't imagine no rent, no 60. Man, what?
$550 a month. His wife Doris lived in a cramped attic apartment in New York City. And when we began to look for an apartment, we found that the apartments were $100, $125, $150 a month. I know that's unbelievable today, but it was too expensive for us. And out here in Levittown, the mortgage payments was $65 a month.
Yep, Levittown. So this is where all, the Edomites, they needed a place to stay. And so literally the government constructed for them the suburbs. So now let's get to Jake. So now our people want to get in on the action. And what happened?
And of course, in the eyes of a young man who was raised in the ghetto, so to speak, it was an interesting experience, an interesting lifestyle, seeing all the new modern conveniences. Very fascinating.
Eugene Burnett came home with almost 1 million other black GIs. They had fought for the country in segregated ranks. They returned hoping for equality and the American dream. For many, that dream was a new home for little money down and some of the easiest credit terms in history.
I went up to the salesman. We're interested in your home. We're interested in buying one. And what is the procedure? Is there an application to be filled out? So forth. So he looked at me, looked around, and he said to me, he says, "Listen, it's not me, but the owners of this development have not as yet decided to sell these homes to Negroes."
It was as though it wasn't real. You can't imagine. But for someone to come out and actually tell...
And that goes to show you, our people don't realize where they're at. I can imagine it. So when our people tried to also get into these commodious housing situations, they were quite literally denied outright. And it was written into law. So when you have so-called white people who try to, or anyone, things are not different. We are not treated as equals in this country and wherever we dwell on the planet Earth. We're at the bottom, and we are purposely kept back from making something of ourselves as a whole. They let a couple niggas become rappers. They let a couple hoes become strippers and whatnot. And the rest of us dwell at the bottom. All right, and so we're going to fast forward because they're basically giving their testimony. But I want to get to the redlining parts.
And then for them to tell me because of the color of my skin, I can't be a part of it? The FHA underwriters warned that the presence of even 1 or 2 non-white families could undermine real estate values in the new suburbs. These government guidelines were widely adopted by private industry.
So right there, these were government guidelines. So this was in law. Don't let no niggas in. because it will lower the property value. And no more white people will want to come. We didn't make none of this up nor create this. This is the problem that you devils created. But when we point this out and highlight this, y'all want to say that we're wicked. Here it is. I'm making a video on this, and my video could very well get took down, but this documentary exists. So how are you going to take my video down?
Race had long played a role in local real estate practices. Starting in the 1930s, government officials institutionalized a national appraisal system where race was as much a factor in real estate assessment as the condition of the property. Using this scheme, federal investigators evaluated 239 cities across the country for financial risk.
So that those communities that were all white, suburban, and far away from minority areas, they received the highest rating, and that was the color green. Those communities that were all minority or in the process of changing, they got the lowest rating.
So red is, given to us where we stay. Yellow is in between. Blue is getting kind of close, and green is where you want to be, with no niggas. This is real, y'all. This is real. Let me screenshot this. I may use this for the photo, so I can for the thumbnail. Bingo. All right. So let's get some scriptures. Matter of fact, you go to Deuteronomy 28. You go to the curses. Actually, let's do this. We'll just get right at it. Deuteronomy 28 and 43. Yep. Deuteronomy 28 and 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Okay, is this talking about literally climbing walls? Other nationalities, they're going to be able to climb walls? No, they have a better condition of life everywhere on the planet than we do, because it doesn't matter. This isn't just an issue we deal with here in America. You have redlining in London. All right, you got ghettos in London, ghettos in Holland, ghettos in Spain, ghettos in Kazakhstan. Okay, everywhere a human can live, it is separated where the heathen are and where the Israelites are, and they predominantly keep us living in squalor. Say I'm lying.
They got the lowest rating and the color red. They were redlined.
Hazardous. In which, hey, our people are, living in the hood ain't no good, right? But you see where these conditions came from. You see how this culture was nursed and developed by way of keeping us out and forcing us to stay down. What do you think is going to happen? Poverty and crime.
As a consequence, most of the mortgages went to suburbanizing America, and it suburbanized it racially.
The racial logic adopts the principle that an integrated neighborhood is a bad risk, is a financial risk, that an integrated neighborhood is likely to be an unstable neighborhood, unstable socially, but therefore also unstable economically.
When the white residents of 8 Mile Road in Detroit were told they were too close to a black neighborhood to qualify.
And this happened, this is here in Detroit. Let me double check. Let me see if the 8 Mile Wall, I believe, yeah, the 8 Mile Wall still stands today, built in 1941, y'all. Just reading it real quick, then we'll go back. It says the Detroit 8 Mile Wall. Hell, I'm on the freeway right now. I could go do a little 10-minute detour and go take a picture. God damn it, it says the Detroit 8 Mile Wall, also referred to as Detroit's Wailing Wall, Berlin Wall, or the Burwood Wall, is 1 foot thick, 6 foot high separation wall that stretches about a half mile in length. Says is buried in the ground, and the remaining 5 feet is visible to the community. It was constructed in 1941 to physically separate black and white homeowners on the sole basis of race. All right, so and this looks like a picture, you know, now they didn't paint it over it to be all inclusive, you know, the remnants of what's left of the wall. But these devils literally put a wall up to keep us out. Why? Because they hate us. This is bigger than race. This is about the birthright, the nationality. They don't hate us necessarily because of our skin color. They hate us because we are two separate nations. All right, these they got that's why these motherfuckers wanted that wall to separate from Northern Kingdom of Mexico. That's their spirit, you know, in which ultimately, you know, every nation, you're supposed to have your own plot of land. But here it is, these a-holes drug us over here, had us build this place up, and don't even want to give us nowhere good to stay. All right, making no account of our labors. This is the guy that we're dealing with. So let's come back to the clip.
For a positive FHA rating, they built this 6-foot wall between themselves and their black neighbors. Once the wall went up, mortgages on the white properties were approved. Between 1934 and 1962, the federal government underwrote 120.
So we're going to fast forward some more. So basically, you know, the documentary just goes in to show you, you know, how this is the process that E used to get up high, keep us out, and, you know, keep everything in the family. They had, oh, here we go. You know, they were trying to build their perfect little utopia, but what happened?
Cartoonist Bill Griffith remembers moving from Brooklyn to Levittown as a kid.
It's an untenable artificial world. You're creating a weird utopia in a way. A utopia of you know, middle-class white people who were trying to deny that they were living in a multi-racial world. And how long can you keep that up? You can't keep that up forever.
You can't keep it up forever. All right, he is the one causing the problems on the planet Earth, not us. Here we go, Isaiah 14. We're going to start at 13. This is the man who, you know, he's the one trying to take over and be the man. A nigga just wants something to hump on and something to eat. All right, Isaiah 14 and 13. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh." And now he's done this literally by going into outer space. You know, but it can also be applied to how he moves in this world. Whenever he shows up, he tries to dominate and take over and alter everything. The Heavenly Father's creation is no good to him. He wants to remake everything in his own image, right? It says, "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit." All right? So he's done all these things to ascend up. But you will be brought down, E. And we're seeing it now. Look at your America now. Can't nobody even breathe. All right? As soon as I get done with this video, I'm going to go get me some some goddamn nasal spray. All right? We can't even breathe in this country, man. In less than 400 years, you destroyed the water, the land, and the air, and the people, and their minds. You will be dethroned, E, soon.
And how long can you keep that up? You can't keep that up forever.
So we're going to fast forward. I want to get to what happened when basically Jake started moving in, what E started doing was a switcheroo. Let me see if I can find it.
They're taking all the resources with them. They're taking all the... Not looking in those places for...
And they actually make it...
It was whites leaving.
From white to black. Not that you dislike the black.
Now this era was known as the Great White Flight, when Edomites were leaving and moving out of their cities whenever they saw a nigga family move in. All right, and this also caused, you know, more economic. This caused more problems for us. You know, we thinking we about to move into a nice new big house, but really we don't realize that whole city is about to collapse because all the funding is about to get pulled, because where E goes is where the money goes. So it don't matter if we near him or if we away from him, we're gonna suffer in poverty.
So much, but you dislike what happens when a community turns from white to black.
It wasn't African Americans moving in that caused housing values to go down in Roosevelt and other neighborhoods. It was whites leaving.
When a neighborhood, a previously white neighborhood, starts to integrate, even if individual whites don't have personal or psychological animosity or racial hatred, they still have an economic incentive to leave, because they recognize that others might make the same calculation and leave first. So you get a vicious circle where whites calculate that other whites are going to sell when a neighborhood integrates, therefore they want to sell first to avoid losses, and they actually make it happen. They make white flight happen.
And if you think about African Americans, if African Americans are 20% of that market, it means that 80% of the people are not looking in those places for homes. So the prices of those homes declines or stays stable. And banks contribute to this by continually making loans in regions that are on the rise, white communities, and making it difficult to get loans in black communities.
So there's a difference. There's a lack of symmetry that's important to keep in mind. So it's not the same when whites are all by themselves. Because when they're all by themselves, they're taking all the resources with them. They're taking all the amenities with them. But when blacks are by themselves, they can't get loans. They don't have a decent tax base. There are no jobs. And then
So right there, when wherever E goes, the money goes. So if we're near them, you know, they finna get up and move, and we're mistreated. You know, we stand out. Your kids become coons. And then when they're gone, they take all the resources, the good loans, the banks, the finances. And this is something that we still deal with to this day. And I know so because I'm a young colored man living in this world. And there's nothing that, you know, when you're in the hood, ain't nothing good. And when you go out to the burbs, you know, you're the token nigga out. You know, whenever, you know, when you out willing and dealing. And I'm not, you know, I'm talking about, you know, when you're dealing with people in the world, right? These heathen. When you're out in their areas of living, when you see where Elam lives, where Ishmael lives, where Edom lives, they're living a lot better. And you have no hopes of ever attaining that. It's a very normal thing as a so-called white child to grow up in a 5-bedroom house. Nigga, you can only dream about that as an Israelite. All right, so let's fast forward. I want to get basically the last part now, which stood out to me as well. All right, let's deal right here. So this guy E, he's not blameless, y'all. He's not blameless. As much as he wants to be, he is not. Oh, this is a good one. Job 20 and it was 19. It says, because he has oppressed the poor and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. All right, so here it is. We're already poor. We're already beat down. We're already the descendants of the slaves. But he sets up systems, institutions, law enforcement. He, by way of, you know, he flooded our communities with crack cocaine. Gary Webb brought that out in the series known as Dark Alliance, the Iran-Contra scandal. All right, the Contra rebels of Nicaragua were selling cocaine to specifically and heavily Los Angeles. That's where the man Free Ray Rick Ross comes into play. And crack cocaine flooded in the 80s and destroyed our people. So this man, he has set up all the pitfalls. Now, granted, should we be hopping into them? No. So the wicked of our people who hopped into those pitfalls, you know, that's on them. But this, if I were to take a dog who don't know nothing, can't speak my language, doesn't know me, smaller than me, I can kill it. If I put 10 traps in front of him, if I put 5 bear traps, kept a pistol aimed at him, dug some holes around him, and eventually if this dog steps on a bear trap and falls into a hole, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Okay? That's, you so-called white people, you have set every pitfall and trap in front of us. And when we finally fall into one, you use that to point the finger at us. You're a son of a gun. Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And that's what these people do. Through violence, he has gotten this world and screwed everybody over. Hey, Isaiah 10:1, he's decreed unrighteous decrees to keep us down bad. All right, so let's finish it out.
Not generate wealth and did not generate the kind of opportunity for the next generation.
So if you can get a government loan and with your GI Bill, your newly earned college degree, and buy a house in an all-white area that then appreciates in value, that then you can pass on to your children, then you're passing on wealth that has all been made more available to you as a consequence of racist policies and practices. To the child of that parent, it looks like my father worked hard, bought a house, passed his wealth on to me, made it possible for me to go to school, mortgage that house so I could have, a relatively debt-free college experience.
And that's the narrative they like to play. Oh, y'all just need to work harder. My parents worked. My dad came here from Italy. My dad came here from Germany. My great-grandfather came here from Poland. Well, your great-grandfather didn't have to deal with dogs chasing him down in water hoses. It had every advantage one human could wish to have over another. All right.
And finance my college education. How come your father didn't do that? Well, there's some good reasons why maybe your father had a harder time doing it if you're African American or Latino or Native American.
Boom. She said it right there. And that's because I was watching this documentary and, I'm like, it's a good documentary. But when she said that, I said, okay, I'm doing a video on it. Didn't nobody tell her to say that? There was not an Israelite on the other side of the camera with a gun pointed. So these problems, like she said, who deals with this? The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. I'm going to take it back so you can hear it out her own mouth. We are the people, y'all. All signs point to it.
How come your father didn't do that? Well, there's some good reasons why maybe your father had a harder time doing it if you're African American or Latino or Native American.
You can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So while they living like this, or, at least were, because now, East starting to feel it a little bit too. But we're down bad at the bottom, and he set up a system to get himself up above us. But that's okay. That's okay, because we're going to go back to Job 20 and 22, and what's going to happen. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. We know that word straits, that word wicked is laborer, I'm all. So the same ones he used to build this kingdom up, we're going to take his punk ass kingdom down. Matter of fact, there's another one in Amos. Is it 5? Let me see. Okay, yeah, Amos 5 and 9. That strengtheneth the spoiled against the strong, so that the spoiled shall come against the fortress. All right, this is dealing with us. We're the lowly ones. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai is going to give us the strength to come against the strong ones and take this man down, y'all. We're going to take him down soon and very soon. I believe there's another one. Let me see. Salakia. Yep. Amos 9 and 13. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, power, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. Bingo. So us, the laborers, the people who have been working in the field, we're gonna take down the ones who have been benefiting off of all of our hard work. He's been living it up. Well, now he's not about. We're about to live it up in the kingdom, beginning with the elect. All right, so. With that, I'm going to give all praises. I'll leave the link for this one. But I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rachak Kodash, of honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all like Akim wa Akwath, learning, teaching, and truth and sincerity. Shalom.